aren't always what they seem. This lifelike image is nothing more than light. Laser light can help create images to fool your eyes. These laser beams may look like headlights travelling down a superhighway, but in fact they're on a journey through a maze of optics to form a hologram. You could say that this holographic effect is out of this world. As well as being the biggest commercially available hologram, it also doesn't need any special lighting system to view it by. Ordinary white light will do the job. Like other holograms, it does fool you into believing that there's a third dimension to a flat surface. The trick here is to extend that effect to large-scale subjects like this without loss of definition or detail. Since holograms first came on the scene 30 years ago, limitation in size meant subjects had to be fairly small, or at least viewed in miniature. But these are about 2 square meters. The dimensional increase makes for a significantly more powerful representation. As with all holograms, you get a range of perspectives, depending on your position. But the colours have no resemblance to the original at all. The rainbow effect is the diffusion of white light into the colour spectrum. And they change too, depending on where you stand. Sophisticated technological art forms may seem more the domain of big cities. But a stable-turned laboratory is where all the work for Australian Holographics goes. From here, holograms make their way to museums and exhibitions around the world. Currently, they're putting life back into a family of Tasmanian tigers, or Thylacines, for the Museum of South Australia. Setting up for a hologram has many of the elements of a photographic shoot. There are, however, 1 or 2 crucial differences. Concealed beneath this black cloth here is the camera. It's 2 meters long, and its unique and secret design allows them to capture the much larger images by keeping the film completely flat against the front surface, reducing the possibility of distortion to absolute minimum. During photographic sessions, not a flicker of movement is allowed, because any disturbance to the atmosphere in the room ruins the image. So everything in here, including air temperature, humidity and vibration, must be controlled to an incredible degree. If this blade of grass moves just 1/1000th of a millimetre, then the laser light won't be able to see it clearly. In fact, if an insect flew through here, then that would spell disaster for a master hologram. To keep things steady, the whole set sits on top of a giant isolation anti-vibration table. This massive structure is built out of 15 tons of steel and contains 8 tons of sand. The whole thing sits on top of 8 tire inner tubes filled with compressed air. That pressure is continually monitored and adjusted to maintain the stability. Once the subjects and props are arranged, the laser checked and the optics cleaned, the room has time to become perfectly still. Green argon laser light is emitted at 2 watts and split into 2 separate beams. One travels straight onto the film. The other goes through a series of optics and illuminates the subject. The reflected light from the scene and the second uninterrupted beam then combine. The difference between the beams produces an interference pattern, which falls on the film to create a 3-dimensional holographic image. You can only view the master through laser light, and it takes quite some skill to determine whether it's perfectly clear and whether the arrangement of the set is best to enhance the subject. It's like any photographic negative, and you can strike as many copies as you need. One of the Tasmanian tiger holograms will be housed at the South Australian Museum. The rest make their way to other museums, where there's interest in the extinct, the endangered and the exotic. Holograms are much easier to transport than specimens, which are often in poor condition because of age, or are simply too rare to be available for loan. The South Australian Museum has decided to commission holograms of other examples of Australian fauna, to add another dimension to its standing exhibitions and to have on hand for loan.
It's not a matter of fooling, it's really a matter of just the gee whiz factor, you know, awe and wow, look at that, and oh, I'm going to stand in front of this for longer than I would in front of you know, anything else, because it grabs my attention. There's depth there, there's 3D sort of stuff that you don't see in the photograph or other forms of representation.
But the large format hologram isn't destined only for museums or exhibitions. Not now that Australian Holographics has refined the technique while keeping the price way down. Already, some businesses are acquiring a taste for these powerful images that can hook into our subconscious selves to inspire curiosity, anger or fear, or to entice us to indulge our desires. These almost large-as-life holograms are adding a new dimension to the tantalizing world of seeing, but not quite believing.